Hello, welcome to the Hobo Hut. I am the host here, the Hobo, and this week I thought that we would take a look at my favorite movies from the past decade, looking at movies from 2009 to 2019 in no particular order because I just went through and basically looked at the movies that came out year by year, wrote down movies that I enjoy that I could throw on, and I figure I can go through my list and talk about them just a little. I'm not going to go in depth because there's kind of a long list, because in 10 years I would assume you're going to have at least 10 10 movies that you enjoyed from 10 years. But I have more because I love movies. So, to start the list, I'm going to get superhero movies out of the way. Number one, the Avengers. The Avengers basically spurred the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is great. Marvel really decided to go all in. Due to the success of the Avengers, we got this great cinematic universe where we're continuing to go into that. However, I believe that this wouldn't be possible without Iron Man 2. Now, Iron Man 2 gets a lot of slack because people think it's bad. I don't agree. I think Iron Man 2 is one of the greatest Marvel movies, in my opinion, just because I think it's funny. I think it's enhanced because people don't enjoy it, which I think is hilarious for somebody not to enjoy a Marvel movie. But yeah. So then I want to talk about Shutter Island. Shutter Island, I think, is amazing. It's a great book. The way that they adapted it into a movie, it works really, really well, which is fantastic. It doesn't happen very often that they're great screen adaptations for movies, for books rather. So it's a really good one. Leonardo DiCaprio really does a great job. Next, we have Scott Pilgrim versus the World. It's a great movie with Michael Cera in it. Comic book. I think it's one of my favorite movies. Really great comedy. Makes me laugh every time. So next, we're going to get into some horror movies. I've got It Chapter 1, as it be dubbed. Fantastic. Another great horror book turned into a movie. We had, for a long time, the TV miniseries that wasn't that good. Tim Curry did a great job, but now we have It Chapter 1 and It Chapter 2. It Chapter 1 is by far way better than It Chapter 2. But Chapter 1 is just amazing. We got great kid actors. Just great acting all around. A great Pennywise. Very scary. Fantastic. Then we have the Halloween reboot. Great movie. I think hands down it did justice to, it paid homages to first one. Great. Just great movie. Great slasher. Just great movie. Now, Get Out. I cannot even put into words how amazing Get Out is. I'm sure everybody's heard about it. Fantastic movie, fantastic twist, just all around phenomenal. Next, probably my favorite movie of all time, Deadpool. The first one, not the second one. The first one. Whenever I have a bad day, I can throw on Deadpool, and it'll make me laugh, just because Ryan Reynolds does a great job, and the writing's fantastic, and the wall breaking is fantastic. It's just beautiful. I think one of the greatest comedies, unless we start talking about 21 and 22 Jump Street, because those are also great comedies. Throw those on, fantastic. Gets laughs every time. Same with Ted 1 and 2. Great comedy movies from the past decade. Now, the next movie is a lot different than all the other ones. A lot of people don't like this movie because either they read the book and they don't like the screen adaptation. But Under the Skin is a fantastic movie starring Scarlett Johansson, and that's really all I can say about it without spoiling it. It is a fantastic movie. Cinematography is beautiful, shot beautifully. Once you read about how they got certain scenes taken care of, like they actually had Scarlett Johansson out mingling with real people, not actors, and picking them up just to get genuine reactions out of people, and those interactions weren't scripted, which I think is fantastic. So that's definitely one of my favorite movies from this decade. Then we have the Conjuring series. Great horror movies. I think they do have their low points, but they've also got their high points, which all movie series do, honestly. You can say the same about Marvel movies. They all have high points, they have low points. High points would obviously be like the Avengers for Marvel, and low points would be, dare I say, Ant-Man and the Wasp or Captain Marvel. Just movies that aren't really necessary in the series, like maybe the first Annabelle, which I would say gets retconned once Annabelle Creation comes into the mix. So there's that. But yeah, they're great movies though. I think they've gotten a lot better as time has come on, because they know that they want to make a series out of it. So that's great. Then we have First Now You See Me. Great action, thriller, suspense movie. It's got a great twist at the end. It blows my mind every time because I just think it's the way that it's shot, to be honest. It's just you get so wrapped up in the movie, and then all of a sudden stuff happens and you're like, wow, that was a great twist. And I think that was fantastic. Fantastic movie every single time. Every single time I see it. Then there's animated movies that I like from the decade, which the Lego Movie, fantastic. Great jokes. That's basically a family comedy. Great. Lego Batman movie, same deal. And then my favorite animated movie from the past decade, I would say, is Big Hero 6, just because it's very emotion driven. It's kind of a superhero movie. I think that it's beautifully written, and it just shows that you can connect to animated characters on a deeper level than anything else. Well, not anything else. You can obviously connect to people more than you can connect to inanimate objects. But you can also connect to animated characters. So next on the list, I have the John Wick trilogy. They're just awesome action movies. That's why they're on the list. I thought they were great. Not really great story base, but great movies for action. I have on my list Creed, which another great movie. Really just fantastic all around. It's got a great story. Michael B. Jordan has a great performance in it. Beautiful. Straight Outta Compton, great documentary. I learned a lot watching it. I found it fantastic. Obviously, I listen to rap music, so to see what it's like in the lives of the NWA as they were starting out and growing, that was really, really cool to see. And that's why Rocketman also made my list, because I'm a huge Elton John fan, and I believe that being able to see that and see what his family was like and why he made the choices that he made and how he just became Elton John, I thought that was awesome. Next up on the list, I have La La Land, which it was really weird because obviously Oscar nominated. I didn't watch it because it was Oscar nominated. I thought it was just going to be a great musical. However, I found it, everybody has their own interpretation. Like every movie on this list, people can look at it and grab something different from it. And what I got from La La Land, it was a sad, botched love story where two people wanted to end up happily together. However, due to decisions, they just couldn't, and they had to make choices that were the best for them. And I found it to be really sad. I actually shed tears because it was very powerful to see that even though they married other people and they had other romantic interests, deep down inside they wanted to be together. And that's a really, I think, very deep, and it speaks a lot about the movie. It's like I said, though, it's everybody's interpretation, and that's what I got from it. Of course, I have more action movies. I guess this makes me look like an action movie nut. I prefer my horror movies over anything, but action with the Marvel movies, there's a lot of action that made the list. So I have Logan. I grew up watching the X-Men movies, so to see Hugh Jackman and his final role as Wolverine, that was very emotional for me. So I love the movie because it was a great end to one of my favorite characters, one of my favorite childhood characters. We have Thor Ragnarok, which is a great comedy action movie. It's a Marvel movie, so you have to watch all the other ones for it to fit in. Kinda. Not really. I think you could watch Thor Ragnarok as a standalone movie and it'd make perfect sense. It's not. You might not know every character that dies, and it might not be as big of a deal as to a Marvel fan, but it'll still be a very powerful movie. Spiderman Homecoming was great. I think something that definitely makes a difference for me is I saw it in a 4DX theater, and that's the only movie I've seen. That's the second movie I've seen in a 4DX theater, and it was just awesome because as Spider-Man's swinging around, the chairs are tilting, and I thought that was really cool. And when the Vulture's flying, they had fans blowing in your face, so you feel very immersed in this movie, and I thought that was cool. But it was also a really good movie because I grew up with Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and to see Tom Holland take the reins and deliver, I thought it was really, really cool. And of course, he's been in a lot more movies, so I'm not the only person that thinks this. I have 3 more movies on my list. Of course, these aren't ranked at all. And that's why this video is kind of sporadic the way that it is because I don't like to pick favorites in movies. It's kind of weird to compare them to kids, but they also always have that saying where it's like, you can't pick your favorite kid. Well, I can't pick my favorite movie because there's too many genres and there's just too many factors that go into everything, because you could have great acting but a terrible plot, or terrible jokes, it just depends. And if a movie is released as a comedy but it works better as a drama, that's what you have to just dispute as a viewer. So that's why this isn't a top 10 list. It's just my favorite movies of the decade, which anybody could watch this video, pick a movie, and I think that you'd enjoy it. But that's just my personal opinion. But anyways, Kingsman, I think this is another movie that has experiences with it that made me enjoy it even more. I was under 18 when this movie came out. I didn't sneak into the theater. I had my dad buy me and my best friend tickets, and it was really, really cool just to see a movie and to see, it was kind of, well, the church scene. If you've seen the movie and you know the church scene, I think, yeah, I could just watch the church scene and I think it's awesome. But then you have heads blowing up, crazy movie. I think it's crazy. And then the last two on my list are actually movies that came out in 2019. I want to talk about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood first. I thought it was a great movie. This is my first exposure to Quentin Tarantino. I didn't have any bias going in. Like, it was a Tarantino movie, so I had to love it. I just thought it was a good movie. It did drag. I will admit, it dragged through the middle sections, but it was still good. It was still a quality movie. Once everything got rolling and I started piecing everything together, and then once the ending hit, it made a lot more sense to me. But it just took some time because it was storytelling. And not, if a story gives you everything in the beginning, if he would have given me everything in the first hour, I wouldn't have sat through the next two, because I would have felt like I had everything, and then the other 2 hours would have been a drag. But if you start presenting stuff and you're telling a story, it worked out really, really well. So there's that. And the last movie on my list for my favorite movies of the decade is Joker. Joaquin Phoenix. Beautiful movie. Obviously, it's only a couple months old. It's not even out on digital yet. I've seen it one time, and I can tell that once it does come out on digital, I'm going to watch it 2 to 3 times just because I love it. My favorite superhero growing up was Batman. Obviously, with Batman, we got the Dark Knight, we got Heath Ledger Joker, and now we have Joaquin Phoenix Joker, and it's just to see this character basically go from just a person who was dumped into society and is lied to and cheated, not only by people but also genetics, giving him genetically having mental instability. It was just very interesting to watch, rather than, oh, he's just crazy because he's crazy. No, it gave backstory to why he was crazy. It wasn't just, this is something that happened. It was a way that he coped with everything, and I just thought that was great storytelling. It's called a drama. I don't know See, my biggest problem with movies is everybody assigns a movie a category. The greatest movies cross categories. So to say, oh, the Avengers is an action movie. Yeah, but it's also a comedy. Same with Thor Ragnarok. Joker, to me, yeah, it was a drama, but it also had comedic elements, and it also was suspenseful, and it was a thriller, and there were twists and turns, and it made you feel uneasy, and it was like a roller coaster. And I think to go see a movie and to not be on a roller coaster and to not enjoy it, there's no point in going to the movies. But yeah, so this has been my list from this decade. I'll write the list down in the description of the video. And then I'll be back next week. I don't know what we're going to review, but it's going to be good. But anyways, this has been the Hobo in the Hobo Hut. I'll see you next week.